By coincidence, the title Super Mario Galaxy was first maintained in a file leader written to Nintendo Power by one of the editors from New York. The letter in question, which was printed in the December 1981 issue, detailed a fantasy console called the Roll Power System, which would come bundled with a game entitled Super Mario Galaxy, but in better for words, would be better known as Super Mario Bros. 24.
There are a lot of different ways of getting a game over in all of the games from the Super Mario franchise, the most common by running out of HP. But the refusing to save the world or joining the credit scenes himself in the door on that can also end in a game over. In Super Paper Mario, you also die if you spell a character's name wrong in chapters 7-1, or if you refuse to put the space behind it in chapter 4-1.
In Super Mario Sunshine, in Noki Bay's bottle level, if you fall to the bottom of the bottle, you will locate a rock formation with a door inside which is impossible to open. Therefore, you must rotate the camera to see what is on the other side of the door. In doing so, you can see a brown book on the floor in the room behind the impassable door. Though its purpose is currently unknown, in the original soundtrack, the title of the level's theme is in fact The Book in the Bottle. It's also been said that the mission was originally different, and that Mario would collect the book rather than 8 red coins. Nobody knows.
The idea for the pollution, which was born in Mario 64, came to mind after processing limitation prevented the developers from showing all of the characters up on the screen at the same time. Their solution was to clear an overcrowded track reducing the pollution. Later they added wings to the pollution so it landed exactly where the worst player is. Nevertheless, there are more wings in Mario Kart 7 just to make a race more chaotic according to developers.
The game Punch-Out for the Wii features Donkey Kong as one of the rivals in the game, but did you know that Princess Peach was also planned to be one of the rivals too? As you might imagine, she was rejected to avoid any reference to violence against women. Plus, Mario was going to take the role of the referee, but finally didn't.
In 1993, an unidentified company sent Nintendo a prototype of their PC port of Super Mario Bros. 3, but instead of Mario, the main character was called Dangerous Dave. Although it was a pretty accurate remake, Nintendo decided in the offer. However, they still decided to continue the project. Only one demo was released, which contained a copy of World 1-1 of Super Mario Bros. 3. Their game was also renamed as Dangerous Dave in copyright infringement.
There is an unused song in Super Mario 3D World disc with something like this. The fine name of this song is Mario 3 House 02, which suggests that Mario House was considered as an idea for the game. Strangely, this song reminds me of Big Block Skyway. Maybe it was used for a similar level, or maybe it was a better song.
In the Japanese game, Super Mario World's Forest of Illusion and The Legend of Zelda's Lost Woods share the name Mayoi no Mori, which means Lost Forest. All the standard exits in the Forest of Illusion send you around in circles, which is comparable to the Lost Woods circling you back to the entrance after a wrong turn.
A street in Zaragoza, a city of Spain, was named Avenue of Super Mario Bros. As a tribute to the first Super Mario Bros. Game and the series in general. The name was chosen via an online poll for the newly built neighborhood, with plans to name more streets after other video game series.
Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars director Chihiro Fujioka and producer Shigeru Miyamoto originally considered having Mario battle using weapons and magic, rather than his standard jump and hammers. They couldn't decide which styles to use. They settled the matter by appearing at a special event and hitting fans' responses when the two styles were announced. More fans applauded the jump and hammer option, so Fujioka chose it for the game.
Super Mario 64 was originally going to be released for the Super Nintendo using the Super FX chip instead of the MIPS chip that the N64 uses. However, as the SNES was getting old and they needed a real generic game to promote the new console, they moved development to Nintendo 64.
The developers of New Super Mario Bros. 2 originally considered calling the game New Super Mario Bros. Gold because of the theme of 1 million coins. However, they felt that many of the game's levels stood on their own, even without considering the coin collecting elements, and so they decided to emphasize that it still had the classic Mario gameplay. Also, when the player enters Coin Rush for the first time, they will receive several informative messages. The second message contains a typo by saying "B" twice in the second sentence.
Here are a bunch of Mario Galaxy small details. There is a hidden toy train in the Toy Time Galaxy with no purpose, so it might just be an Easter egg. Also, in the rolling Gizmo Galaxy, there is a hidden cluster of star bits that resembles a blue rupee from The Legend of Zelda. Star bits are also based on a Japanese candy called Compito, and if you collect 9,999 star bits, all coconuts will turn into watermelons, for some reason.
Instead of using the anti-gravity mechanic in Mario Kart 8, the team originally planned to have drills on down the karts, so players could travel through the earth. As said by the game director, Hideki Kono, in 7 we had gliders, so when we were thinking of new ideas for 8, we thought, why not put drills on the end of the karts and have them go through the earth somehow? Subterranean racing. But he thought against that, as it's not such an interesting idea, and after that he hit upon the anti-gravity mechanic.
Did you know in the Japanese version of Super Mario World, Yoshi could actually eat the dolphins? This was however removed from the international releases. It's thought it was removed because of the different cultural views towards dolphins, or simply just to make the level easier to finish, as the dolphins could be used as platforms. This was added back, however, into all versions of the Game Boy Advance.
In 1992, an interview revealed that Shigeru Miyamoto got the idea for Boost from the wife of his co-worker and close friend Takashi Tezuka, as she sighed but one day got very angry at him for coming home late from work. This is mostly why boos are shy when you look at them, but start chasing you when you are not looking. Boos were also originally named Boo Diddleys after the late blues singer and guitarist Bo Diddley.
Charles Martinet, the current voice for Mario, Luigi, Wario and Waluigi, was actually not invited to the auditions to be the new voice of Mario. He crashed the auditions and was asked to do an Italian accent until he ran out of things to say. He knew nothing about Mario going at the time, and he started to do a more playful and gentle voice instead of the traditional gruff Italian accent that Mario had before. Martinet so much of an impression at the recording that his tape was the only one sent by Nintendo.
Bowser was originally going to be an ox and was named UK and Bibimba before Miyamoto decided to call him Bowser and turn him into a turtle. In fact, the horns on his head are just a leftover of what the original design, which was based on the main antagonist from the animation, Alakazam the Great. This is likely why the modern design has a defined muzzle, despite him being a turtle.
All 8-bit sprite titles from Super Mario Bros. Have only 3 colors plus transparency as a 4 color, but Bowser's original sprite appear to have 4 colors as well as transparency as a color. This is because the black background is what gives Bowser his black spice color around his waist. Due to this, using cheat code so Bowser appears in a non-castle level will look like his hands are separated from his arm. This occurs again in Super Mario Bros. 3, where Bowser's sprite is designed to export the black background and use it as an outline element.
Early screenshots of Super Mario World show that Raccoon Mario was to return before being replaced by Cape Mario. A raccoon leaf and a few Raccoon Mario sprites are also present among other early Super Mario World graphics found within the data of an SNES test cartridge used by Nintendo to test and diagnose the consoles and controllers. Just look at it. The running sprites are almost identical, indicating the P meter might have been used in beta. There is also an unused 5UP logo that can be found in the game's data, but when used in game, the logo does not show up correctly.
New Super Mario Bros. U began as a tech demo shown at E3 2011 called New Super Mario Bros. Mii. It allowed players to use Miis in all modes. If all 4 players chose Miis, Player 1 would be dressed as Mario, Player 2 would be dressed as Luigi, Player 3 as Wario, and Player 4 as Waluigi, but with blue sleeves. This concept did make it to the final game in the form of Boost Rush mode.
The Virtual Console version of Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64 actually removed some of the features of the game. For example, the Ring Tournament mode was removed from the Virtual Console version of the game, and for unknown reasons, Alex, Nina, Harry, and Kate are no longer playable. None of the characters' personalized courts, excluding Donkey Kong's, can be unlocked either. This is due to the game needing to be connected to the Game Boy Color version of Mario Tennis to unlock this content, which the Wii cannot do.
If the cartridge of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island detects anything other than a control pad plugged into either port, an error message will pop up until the offending controller is removed. The color of the text changes in every single frame and it can have all 32,768 colors the SNES can support.
According to Shigeru Miyamoto, neither Mario or Luigi have surnames. The Super Mario Bros. Film has Mario and Luigi's last name as Mario, but this was because of a scene where the two had to provide their full name.
The Mario series is just a constant chain of success after success. In fact, if you take a look at the top 10 list biggest selling games of all time, you will notice that 3 of them are Mario games, with a 4th game placed 11th. The original Super Mario Bros. Is still the biggest selling Mario game, followed by Mario Kart Wii and New Super Mario Bros. In fact, out of all the main Mario games, the one who sold the less was Super Mario Bros. 2. However, it still sold 3 million copies. Everyone has played a Mario game, and Mario is, without a doubt, the most famous video game character ever, whose legacy will last forever.